Here are today's top stories. During a congressional hearing on the 6.8 billion peso shabu haul, Customs Commissioner Isidro Lapeña now believes the magnetic lifters did contain the illegal drug. A possible star witness in the Sagay Massacre in Negros is now under custody. President Rodrigo Duterte confers the Order of National Artist to 7 talented Filipinos. And the Department of Agriculture warns of sanctions against businessmen who will not follow the suggested retail prices of rice. Good day. I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The House of Representatives continues with its probe on the unchecked smuggling of 6.8 billion pesos worth of shabu. Customs Commissioner Isidro Lapeña, who believed the drugs were stuffed inside magnetic lifters and smuggled, seems to have changed his tune. Customs Commissioner Isidro Lapeña on Wednesday says he is now convinced that the 4 magnetic lifters found in a Cavite warehouse contained illegal drugs. Lapeña affirmed the findings of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA and other customs that the magnetic lifters did contain illegal drugs.
Well, it went that way. Talagang may nakalusot. Yung investigation namin, meron ng lapses, as I've stated earlier. That's why yung mga technicians ng X-ray namin are subjected to charges for gross neglect of performance of duty.
During the House inquiry into the 6.8 billion peso shabu smuggling, DPWH Director Toribio Ilaw said the nature of the lifters may be intended to carry contraband and not heavy materials. The BOC earlier claimed that no shabu was found in the containers after these tested negative for illegal drugs. Deputy Customs Collector Maria Lourdes Mangawang said that the X-ray images indicate that something was inside the magnetic lifters based on the investigation conducted by PDEA and on the evidence presented before the Senate. Mangawag is also a former X-ray Division Chief of the BOC. House Committee Chair Ace Barbers, meanwhile, said the current findings will help improve the capabilities of concerned agencies such as the Customs Bureau in preventing smuggling.
Therefore, bumili tayo na mas high-tech na machine. The committee members, the chairman of the different committees, you have all the good and the competent members of Congress here that will help you lobby to the Committee on Appropriations para mabigyan ng magandang pondo at malaking pondo, makabili tayo ng mas high-tech and sophisticated equipment.
Amid speculations on the possible perpetrators, authorities have in their custody what may become a star witness in the killing of 9 farmers in Sagay City on October 20. The 14-year-old boy was the survivor of the massacre where one of the victims was reportedly his friend. The Negros Occidental Police Provincial Office denied claims by the National Federation of Sugar Workers that the boy was illegally arrested. The Negros PNP adds that the boy was sent to the custody of the Department of Social Welfare and Development Office in Sagay City with the consent and in the presence of his own father. The minor who came from the traumatic incident was turned over to social welfare custody to help him recover while his statement is being taken. Police also revealed that people claiming to be the minor's grandparents came to fetch the boy, but as it turns out, they are not his legitimate grandparents. The fatalities, which included 2 minors, were members of the NFSW. Artistic talent is a natural Filipino trait. In this modern age, interest in culture and the arts is slowly waning. This is why Malacanang recognizes Filipino artists for their contributions to Philippine arts and culture. Abs Abando has the story.
President Rodrigo Duterte handed the Order of National Artist or ONA, the highest national recognition given to Filipinos who made significant contributions to the development of Philippine arts, to 7 individuals. Popular composer and musical director Ryan Cayabyab received the title of National Artist for Music in recognition of his works ranging from musicals and orchestral pieces to popular music. Other ONA awardees include Larry Alcala for Visual Arts, Francisco Mañosa for Architecture, Ramon Muzones and Resil Mojares for Literature, Amelia Lapeña Bonifacio for theater, and Eric Digia, also known as Kidlat Tahimik, for film and broadcast arts. Duterte also gave Gawad ng Manlilikha ng Bayan Awards or GAMABA and 2018 Philippine Heritage Awards to winners in 4 categories. The GAMABA is a national tribute to the creative and technical genius of the Filipino traditional artist. On the other hand, the Philippine Heritage Awards is an annual conservation recognition program which aims to promote cultural preservation and conservation of Filipino cultural heritage. Duterte called on the awardees to share their skills and knowledge to the younger generation and the fast-paced, highly technological and modern world. Duterte underscored the need to preserve and protect the country's cultural sites.
President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the arrest of resigned Customs Intelligence Officer Jimmy Guban for allegedly allowing the entry of tons of suspected shabu stashed inside magnetic lifters. Duterte said he ordered PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde to arrest and bring Guban to the National Bureau of Investigation. The president ordered the arrest of Guban as the House of Representatives conducted an inquiry into the alleged smuggling of 6.8 billion pesos worth of shabu into the country. Duterte said Guban faked identification cards to allow the entry of tons of shabu through the magnetic lifters in the BOC. Guban claimed in a previous Senate inquiry that Police Senior Superintendent Eduardo Acierto had instructed him to find a consignee for the shipment. Meanwhile, Duterte urged BOC Commissioner Isidro Lapeña and Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Chief Aaron Aquino to stop blaming each other and instead go after the culprits behind the smuggled shabu. Political partisanship, such is what House Deputy Speaker Prospero Pichay noted as the Inter-Parliamentary Union is considering on investigating the Duterte administration. Pichay backed Speaker Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo's recommendation to withdraw the Philippines' membership from the Geneva-based organization over its interference in the country's judicial processes. Pichay says the group of global lawmakers was quick to defend opposition senators Laila de Lima and Antonio Trillanes, yet remained silent when Arroyo suffered from years of detention. He added that no less than the United Nations ruled that the rights of the former president were violated when she was jailed for 5 years without any valid charges. Pichay says Senator de Lima and Trillanes are undergoing the same judicial processes as what had been used against Speaker Arroyo. Still to come, the Commission on Elections says senatorial aspirants have taken advantage of a loophole in the rules and have started campaigning this early. And the Department of Agriculture warns of sanctions against traders who violate the price ceilings of rice. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues. It would seem that the midterm election campaign period kicked off prematurely as candidates take advantage of a loophole in the rules. Because of this, a COMELEC official calls out candidates who are campaigning as early as now. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez reminds those who filed their certificates of candidacy for senator that the campaign period for national positions will start only on February 12 and will run until May 11, 2019. The campaign period for local positions will start only on March 29 until May 11, 2019. Jimenez noted that nearly all major senatorial candidates are taking advantage of the premature campaigning loophole where they promote themselves without explicitly telling people to vote for them. He, however, indicated that they cannot do anything to prevent poll bets from campaigning early. He also urged those aspiring for public office to be prudent by not engaging in electioneering. Jimenez said that in the end, it all boils down to delicadeza. The AFP clears its Citizens Armed Forces or CAFGU involvement in the massacre in Sagay, Negros Occidental. And the LTFRB warns UV Express operators against illegally hiking fares. More on this in our Metro News Roundup.
AFP Chief of Staff General Carlito Galvez has cleared the CAFGU or Citizens Armed Forces geographical units in the killing of 9 farmers in Sagay City, Negros Occidental last Saturday. Galvez says all firearms issued to the CAFGU are accounted for and their detachment is far from Hacienda Nene, where the killings took place. Investigators are looking into the New People's Army as the suspect in the incident, as evidenced by the coordinated propaganda campaign being launched against the government. In other news, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board warns operators and drivers of UV Express units against illegally increasing fares. The LTFRB reports that some UV Express lines charge an additional 5 pesos in their fares without authorization. LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra says they plan to operate in areas where overcharging of fares has been reported. The Quezon City Police District welcomes the approval of a new ordinance aimed at easing procedures on the apprehension of city ordinance violators. Under the new ordinance, any person caught for violation of any provision of an ordinance may be issued with an ordinance violation receipt. The case will be considered closed if violators do not contest and are willing to pay the fine at the city treasurer or in the barangay within 5 days. Since June 13, authorities accosted over 200,000 violators, majority of which were simply warned. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
As the government exerts all efforts to ensure a stable supply of affordable rice to the public, the Department of Agriculture warns rice retailers and vendors that they will face fines and other penalties if they are caught selling rice products at a higher cost than the suggested retail prices. This comes as the implementation of the SRP for rice was moved to Saturday, October 27, as industry stakeholders prepare the needed signages in retail outlets. Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol says penalties and sanctions would include cancellation of NFA licenses, stiff fines, and criminal charges. Piñol says stakeholders, however, have agreed to implement the SRP on Saturday in support of President Rodrigo Duterte's efforts to stabilize the price of goods in the market. Premium and regular rice will be sold between 39 and 47 pesos per kilo. There will be no SRP for indigenous rice varieties including Cordillera heirloom rice, organic brown, red, and black rice. In business news, automobile manufacturers are expecting a 14% drop in sales this year as the Chamber of Automotive Manufacturers of the Philippines and the Truck Manufacturers Association reportedly sold about 420,000 units in 2017. Campi Vice President Dante Santos says buyers anticipated a substantial price increase under the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion law at the beginning of 2018, which is why they bought their cars earlier. Higher prices of basic goods, oil products, and increasing interest rates, among others, are also affecting the appetite of consumers on buying vehicles. Despite these challenges, Santos said the group remains optimistic about the Philippine economy. He noted that the group projects that the industry's performance will recover soon. The police regional office in the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao is set to hire 500 new cops this year. Pro-ARMM spokesperson Senior Inspector Jemar de los Santos says more than 600 aspirants are undergoing final interview and deliberation in Camp Salipada, Pendatun in Parang, Maguindanao. Aspirants are required to pass physical, medical, and neurological examinations as well as undergo background check. Pro-ARMM Director Graciano Mijares says they also recently opened its PNP online recruitment application system to accommodate 200 more police applicants for PO1 positions later this year. Meanwhile, the Philippine Marine Corps is conducting mobile recruitment in the hopes of getting 300 recruits in Zamboanga City. Captain Jeev Ajijul, the PMC recruitment officer, said aspirants have until November 4 to register and undergo screening. They can register at the administrative office of the PMC at the Naval Forces Western Mindanao headquarters in Barangay Calarian or send their inquiries through email, phone, or Facebook. Up next, South Korea is considering the ratification of its summit agreement with North Korea. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
This is Secretary Martin Andanon, and you're watching.
In a mercantile universe, where achievement is measured by financial statistics, it is the individual, the single person, that must stand as the center of commercial life. You who hold the strings of business and industry can give back to the people who work for you and with you the happiness to value themselves as the bedrock and the foundations of our human resources. May this vision be sustained beyond this summit, and as I am confident it would. Mabuhay and God bless.
The Davao City Police plans to file charges against militant groups, and authorities destroy marijuana plantations in Sarangani. More on these stories in our Provincial News Roundup.
The Davao City Police Office is planning to file charges against 2 militant leaders for allegedly luring students into joining protest rallies at the Freedom Park and in Lasang. Child exploitation and illegal public assembly charges may be filed against Antonio Tino of the Alliance of Concerned Teachers and Ariel Casilao of Anak Pawis. On Tuesday, Mayor Sara Duterte lambasted Tino and Casilao on social media for allegedly luring young people to join the disruptive mass actions. Both rallies obstructed the flow of goods and people for more than 3 hours. Over in Sarangani Province, anti-drug operatives uprooted and destroyed some 11,000 hills of fully grown marijuana in the town of Malungon. Chief Superintendent Eliseo Tambrasco, Regional Director of the Police Regional Office 12, said the marijuana plantations were discovered in parts of Sitio Atmurok, Barangay Datalbatong in Malungon. Authorities also conducted an entrapment operation against suspected supplier Antonio Tabangay and his cohort Elmer Enoch, who had escaped. The official said investigators are currently verifying the owners and cultivators of the marijuana plantations as well as the other possible cohorts of Tabangay and Enoch. Meanwhile, the Japanese government has affirmed its support for the preservation of the Ifugao rice terraces as one of the world's globally important agriculture heritage sites. The Japan International Cooperation Agency and Japanese-run Kanazawa University gave the assurance during the visit of Ifugao State University officials to Japan on Monday. UNESCO and the Japanese government put up the Ifugao Satoyama Mister Training Program in the Philippines to train young people in the preservation of the rice terraces. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
In our foreign news, President Moon Jae-in is preparing to ratify last month's summit agreement with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to improve relations and reduce military tensions. The South Korean government decided to ratify the Pyongyang Joint Declaration on its own, while an earlier agreement on the Panmunjom Declaration undergoes parliamentary ratification. The Panmunjom Declaration contains a series of broad agreements to halt all hostile acts against each other, explore ways to enhance cross-border exchanges, and pursue the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The Pyongyang Joint Declaration calls for a series of wide-ranging economic and humanitarian cooperation projects and exchanges between the two sides. Moon says the two agreements will protect citizens, benefit the economy by removing crisis factors, and improve human rights in the North Korean people as well as those living on the borders. More than 7,000 football enthusiasts are expected to flock to the Clark Freeport in Pampanga to witness the staging of the biggest football tournament in the country. Clark will host the Pinas Cup 2018 from October 27 to 30 this year. The event, organized by the Manila Soccer Academy in cooperation with the Philippine Football Federation, will bring together over 100 teams from here and around the world. Representatives from leading schools and universities and other selected schools will also participate in the competition. This year's Pinas Cup will include girls, women's, and men's categories. Now on its third year, Clark Development Corporation is coordinating with organizers to ensure the success of the event as it makes use of Clark's potential as premier sports tourism destination. Food security continues to be a major concern as the city of Marawi recovers from the ravages of war. This is why Task Force Bangon Marawi continues to monitor the processes of agricultural programs being implemented in the city. Sweet Lukman files this report.
As the food security convergence continues pouring in over agricultural livelihood opportunities in agrarian reform communities of Marawi, the Task Force Bangon Marawi together with the World Food Program conducted a food security assessment to track the progress of the agri-farms of the internally displaced farmers in Barangay Dulay proper. The Convergence Project Monitoring Team consists of government line agencies and humanitarian organizations under the TFBM's Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood, piloted a joint monitoring exercise in one of the barangays included in agri-communities of the war-torn city. Baikon Macaraya, National Program Officer of WFP, explained that the main purpose of the result-based joint monitoring is to visit the farmer beneficiaries and to assess the impact of the livelihood assistance given to them through the food security convergence initiatives. The monitoring aims to evaluate the livelihood outputs, including the expansion of the beneficiaries' farming areas and harvested agricultural crops from the support they have been provided for. The assessment includes the facilitating factors which help them to generate income through the food security program. According to Macaraya, there is a need to capture positive results of the agricultural programs to assess additional aid they can provide sustaining the IDP's livelihood. Meanwhile, evaluating the project's breaches or gaps will help them recognize farming-related problems that should be addressed immediately. Food security convergence also aims to link the returned farmers in market value chains to improve the livelihood support of the government and its partnered humanitarian organizations. The identified ARCs piloted in Marawi are rich with rice, corn, and mixed vegetable production, supporting the increase of economic growth in the city. The food security convergence also projecting fisheries sectors to be included in the initiative. This livelihood convergence program had already uplifted the lives of farmer beneficiaries and also provided immediate assistance for the maximum economic recovery of the city. Over 200 farmer beneficiaries are farming in more or less 3 hectares in the community. Meanwhile, the ARMM's Department of Agriculture and Fisheries conducts series of distribution of assorted vegetable seeds for the returned farmers in Marawi City. The food security convergence currently provide immediate food access, food diversity, and balanced nutrition of the families, also assisting about 1,600 farmers expanding their organic rice, corn, and vegetable production with complete delivery of farm tools. TFBM member agencies of the Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood, together with international non-government organizations, the United Nations World Food Program, and the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, have strengthened and institutionalized convergence initiatives for the recovery of Marawi's economy to provide sustainable assistance, security, business, and livelihood of the conflict-affected communities. Together with Laid Kabagani, for PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. During a congressional hearing on the 6.8 billion peso shabu haul, Customs Commissioner Isidro Lapeña now believes the magnetic lifters did contain the illegal drug. A possible star witness in the Sagay Massacre in Negros is now under custody. President Rodrigo Duterte confers the Order of National Artist to 7 talented Filipinos. And the Department of Agriculture warns of sanctions against businessmen who will not follow the suggested retail prices of rice. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And remember, there are no perfect people, only perfect moments. So let's enjoy those moments with imperfect people. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.